I'm telling you, there's nothing better than having foodies on a show. Not only do they bring you great delectables, but you also tend to learn a lot. And we now have Tracy Lipschitz, who's the owner, in fact co-owner with her daughter of SoupnStuff in the studio with us. It's a small mother-daughter business that started in 2009. They have a range of, listen to this, over 60 delectable soups to choose from. Delicious meals all round. Now here's what I love about the idea. It's people have always believed that winter is the only time you really should be having soup. But, however, it's great nutritional meals that you can take anywhere with you. And if you hear the kinds of recipes and the kinds of ingredients that have gone into these soups, you are just going to want to feast with me. And as we've had for most of the show, we have some right here with us. Tracy, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Jerry. Nice to be here.
Tell me how you made the decision to go into a business that focuses on soups.
I was in the catering business for many, many years. I always had this idea to open up a soup and salad restaurant.
Really?
But I hate the idea of being stuck between four walls. I like to work from home. I like to be able to go out into my garden. I like to be able to do things around the house.
I was so sure you would say that you hated the idea of salad, to which I was going to say I was going to give you a 5 up, but now I won't.
No, I love salad.
Okay.
So I did the catering for a long, long time. And then my daughter, who is the co-owner of the business, took a gap year from varsity.
Yeah.
And needed something to do, and she wanted desperately to go overseas. And I said, you know, let's give the soup business a try. Let's see what happens with it. Because I love making soup, and I've always made soup for dinner parties, and people have always loved my soups. And so we started with a range of 6 different soups. And we've built it over 4 years, 4.5 years.
Were those first 6 soups kind of the soups that you regularly made? You were great at them, yes. People loved the flavors, yes. And you figured if you were to take this into a broader market, people would still like these 6?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what were they?
Traditional Jewish chicken soup, the antibiotic soup,
yes,
the lettuce and spring onion soup, curried pumpkin and butternut, a very usual kind of soup.
Yeah.
The courgette with basil and parmesan that's sitting here.
Yes.
And I think there was tomato soup. Also,
yeah,
tomato soup was the sixth one.
So how do you then, having decided, because it's actually quite a specific catering business that you're going into. You're not saying I can cater to just about any taste. You're saying I'm going to do soups and soups alone.
But the soups can cater to just about every taste, because there is a range of 60 soups. There's a vegetarian range, a vegan range, meat, chicken, fish, and shellfish.
Interesting.
So it does, and I have turned people onto soup. There are people who walk past my stand who say, no, we don't eat soup. And I've said, come and taste.
Just a taste.
And I have a very interesting Iranian pomegranate soup. And somebody tasted it one day, and she bought a small container. And the following week she came back to the market and she said to me, you've changed my life. I have a whole new way of looking at food and life. And yes, so...
Okay, so you've brought a whole bunch with us, and it looks so interesting. I mean, I would never have imagined a chicken and peanut soup.
This is Asian-inspired flavors.
Oh, right, like a satay.
Similar. It's chicken, peanut, coconut, and noodle. It's got a little chili, it's got some fresh lime, so it has a little kick. It's a very thick, slurpy, very lovely winter soup, although people are loving it in the summer as well. Surprisingly, there are people who love hot soup right through the year, not just in the winter.
Well, you know, it's very, very interesting. I once went out and they the menu had a soup on it, and I missed the point where they said summer soup or consommé, and when they brought it, it was freezing cold. And I said, you need to put this in the microwave for me. And the chef was offended. But it was great warm, and it was great cold. It's just the mentality, it is, isn't it?
It's a mindset.
Let's talk a little bit about conscientizing people to how soups should be had, and what makes a great summer soup and what makes a great winter soup.
That's interesting. You know, I think conscientizing people have become aware because of the market and because of interacting and engaging with people and people coming to taste. And they've become aware that it's actually a wonderful way to eat lunch at work. So people buy these small containers which they take with them to work,
yes,
which they pop in the microwave or they pop on the stove, and in 5 to 10 minutes they have a meal, a nutritious meal.
And I guess one of the great things about soups is all of the nutrients remain in the pot.
Precisely.
And therefore you're getting every flavor and every nutrient that you're meant to get out of your meal.
Precisely. And the soups are preservative free. They have no unnatural ingredients in them. I try to use organic vegetables where possible. And I heard you mentioning there's a Jerusalem artichoke soup. Now the Jerusalem artichoke is a very good vegetable for diabetics. It's a low GI vegetable.
GI veggie.
And so there are soups suitable for people with all sorts of cholesterol problems and blood pressure problems and so on, depending on the vegetables.
And I see that the range is quite diverse. I mean, you have the traditional soups, as you mentioned. I mean, you can make just an ordinary chicken soup, or you can have it with peanuts, but also some really interesting non-traditional soups, very trendy soups. I mean, I'm looking at courgette and parmesan.
Courgette, basil, and parmesan.
Oh,
that's an Italian-inspired
I like
soup.
parmesan in anything.
Me too. I like parmesan on its own. That's a semi-smooth, semi-chunky, quite a decadent soup because it's got a lot of parmesan grana padano. It also has cream in it.
Oh.
And
I also like anything with cream.
Well, my mother-in-law said if something has
told you to name that a foodie?
It can't be bad if it has cream in it.
No, nothing ever.
Yes.
And honey roasted parsnip soup. Parsnip is not something you see on a menu very often.
Not in South Africa.
Not in South Africa.
In South Africa, it's fed to the cows, and in Europe, people eat it. People eat it in many ways. They make parsnip purees and parsnip salads, and this soup is sweet on the palate when you start, and then it has chili. So at the end, when you've swallowed, you get this little kick on the back of your tongue.
Ooh.
And it's a most delectable soup. Very smooth, delectable soup.
You speak about the tasting and the flavors it leaves behind in the tongue, like people speak about whiskies or wines.
But that's what food is all about.
I know.
Food is about good taste.
Developing a palate for it. Yes.
And the biggest fun I have is when people come to the market and they do a soup tasting, because every Saturday morning at the Jersey Food Market, I put between 10 and 15 soups out for taste. And people get little taster cups, little shot cups.
Yes.
And some people actually come and taste all the soups. And they have the most fun. And people come who have very sophisticated palates, and they pick up all the different spices. But yeah, it's very much like a wine tasting or a whiskey tasting to come and do a soup tasting.
Little shot glasses full of soup. Let's, one really interests me, and it's one right in the front there. It's the color of it that really interests me. And I never thought of the combination of beetroot and cranberry.
It's beetroot, cranberry, orange, and mint.
Well, that's like a health smoothie in a soup.
It is, except that it's savory as well as slightly sweet. The cranberries give it a sweetness, but it also has salt and pepper in it, which gives it a balance. So it's not a smoothie. It has low-fat yogurt in it, so it's also one of the low-fat, healthier soups.
And then, of course, both beetroot and as well as cranberry. I mean, I know that cranberry has antioxidant qualities, for example.
Very modern berry that people
yes. So there are great qualities to soups, and as I say, for the one thing is lentils, one of those great proteins that we all need to have in our diet, very important. And you have what is that one?
That's a lentil and vegetable with pink peppercorns. It's lentil and sweet potato and carrots and potato, which is all blended together.
Yes.
And the pink peppercorns are added whole at the end. So you have a smooth soup and then you have the crunch of a citrusy,
Interesting.
peppercorn, which is very nice.
So let me think about this. So you have the lentil, which is a wonderful protein and very wholesome. And then you have, oh, that's a low GI soup as well, because sweet potato is low GI.
Absolutely.
But so does that sweetness of the sweet potato come through?
Not really. Very
So it's just the
slightly.
fullness.
It's quite a comforting soup. It's quite a comforting soup. I have other lentil soups. There's a lentil and lemongrass with more Thai flavors that also has some chili in it, which has more of a kick.
Is that very much what you've tried to do, Tracy, which is make combinations that are already popular combinations of flavors? Thai food, for example, has become really popular. Indian food is very popular. Have you taken those kinds of influences and said people would enjoy if we put it together in this way, in these cuisines, for example?
Ethnic food is very popular. I lived in the Middle East for 9 years. I love Middle Eastern food, Moroccan food, North African food. So I have a lot of that in my range. I have the Italian influence, the Asian influence, which is very, very popular currently, and the Middle Eastern influence in several of my soups.
And you say that you're at the Jersey Market?
The Jersey Food Market, which is at the Pirate Sports Club in Greenside, Braeside Avenue in Greenside. So I'm there on a Saturday morning between 8:30 and 1. Very nice little food market that's not really well known, and it's been running for many years.
Well, the Jersey Food Market, if I'm going to get a taste of 60 various, I doubt if I'm going to make my way through 60 soups, but the least you want to do, I believe, if you visit the stall at the Jersey Market of Soup and Stuff with Tracy Lipschitz and her daughter, the least you want to do is palate and feel the soups that you've never tasted before. For example, beetroot and cranberry. Don't even tell me that, oh please, I've been there and done that, because you haven't. So I think if you made your way down to the market, make use of the opportunity to go down there and get yourself a shot glass of each one of these soups that you haven't tried before. You might take home something that you never imagined you would, because the great thing about soup, as we've just discussed, is you get the experience of getting all the nutrients in the pot when you're eating it. Nothing is lost when you eat a soup. And if you're as lazy as I am, you put in your travel mug.